today's installment of the Trader Brandon Transmissions.
It's the only little headache with doing a live feed from your phone is when people are messaging your phone, you really can't really check it because you're doing a feed. So yeah, he was on the page and trying to figure out how to see the live part. So I sent him some pictures and some screen grabs and where to click. So hopefully he shouldn't have any problems. Now everyone can know what it looks like when I'm texting. There we go. We'll see if that does. The hat. I am a great fan of hats. I enjoy a good hat, so I have many hats. This particular hat kind of became a thing just based off of the... Hi, Aaron. Thank you. Aaron says Josh is having technical difficulty, but we'll get him in here. I just sent him the video directly from should be in his messages, so he might be able to click that as well. But anyhow, the hats, this one came out of the fact that this is the direction they were headed in the new Jungle Cruise movie, but also African Queen and those type of inspirations for this type of hat. I have not yet found a good replica, good reproduction of the African Queen hat. It's the darndest thing. You can look it up online. You can find a lot of thoughts of what type of hat it was, none of which I think look correct, although if it was ridiculously aged down and a mess, I guess I could see how it would get there, but yeah, the African Queen hat is kind of a trick. But obviously they're basing the new jungle outfits off the African Queen, heavily inspired by African Queen, which makes sense because we all know that the attraction was based off of that, as well as Creature from the Black Lagoons were the two big main inspirations for the Jungle Cruise. The more you know.
There you go.
Hey, how's that?
Easy piece of cake.
Ugh. I hate computers.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on. I feel like we know each other. I feel like I know you, and we have never met. This is very sad.
We've never met in person. We're like internet best friends.
That's true. Pen pals.
We are friends of friends, but we've never met personally. So thanks so much for having me. This is really really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I wore this just for you. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. But I try to theme my shirts as best possible to my special guests. So let's just kick it off. How did you get started and end up where you are?
Wow, that's a great question. Wow. So, well, the very first thing was ever since I was a kid, I just wanted to work in animation. That's just was my goal from day one. And I asked my parents, I was like, I'm going to work in cartoons, right? And they're like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you? Like, of course. So it was never like, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer. It was like, yeah, you're going to work for Mad Magazine or animate. So, like that was my goal from day one. And I just did that. I went to art school in San Francisco because I'm from the Bay Area, from San Francisco area.
Okay.
And went to Academy of Art up in the San Francisco, studied there. And luckily, right after I graduated, I met Joe Ranft at Pixar, and he became like my mentor. And
nice.
I kind of got in through the back door there, where he just kind of called me one day and was like, "Hey, would you want to work on be an intern in our story department?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he said, "Yeah, we're working on this Cars movie." And I was like, "I can draw cars." I'm like, "I can't draw cars at all, but I'm going to lie, cheat, and steal, whatever to figure it out.
Whatever you got to do to get in, yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I did. And I was an intern on Cars, and then I just decided I'm not going to leave this place, or I'm not going to let them fire me. And
Yeah.
I just worked my tail off and was in the story. I was the first intern in the story department at Pixar, and then I was hired and got I was a story artist on Cars, Ratatouille, Up, Cars 2. I worked on Nude, Inside Out, a bunch of the shorts worked on, and then was head of story on Inside Out, and was a writer on that as well, and then went on to Toy Story 4 after that. So that's a fast forward through my career. Right there.
Nothing wrong with that. What made you decide animation? What were your influences?
Oh man, well, I always loved like early Disney stuff. So Peter Pan for is the one for me that was just like, I love animation. And then Looney Tunes and all the early Warner Brothers cartoons were a huge influence. But then when I was, I think 11 or 12 is when Roger Rabbit came out, and that was the movie that completely blew my mind. And I saw it probably 4, 5, 6 times in the theater, which was a huge deal when, back then when it was, at a younger age. But that movie, I just ate, slept, breathed that movie. And the crazy thing was, like, at that time is when I felt there was so much, material available that was like the making of things like that. Specifically, the director would do. I remember there's a thing even for like Back to the Future 2 and 3. He put out a thing on television. It was like a half hour of the making of, behind the scenes. And so there was so much like making of stuff. And with Roger Rabbit, there was just so much of it. And I just was just inhaling it. I just love it so much. So that was the one for me that really did it.
I was always sad they never let us put in our red car bar in DCA.
Oh man. Yeah. I remember reading, wasn't there a ride in Florida they were going to do? They were going to put Two-Town in there? You would know this more than I would.
I think so, yeah, and then they were going to do that. But yeah, when we redid California Adventure, when we redid the entrance to California Adventure, let me turn that down a little bit just in case that's messing up. When we redid California Adventure, we wanted to put in a red car bar where the whole bar was on rollers, so it would shake when the trolleys would go by. And
oh wow, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, crushed me that that never happened. But so where did you? You always knew animation. You got that big part figured out. Where did your book come from? When did that come into play? Your Movies Are Fun book.
Yeah, that started. It was an idea I had when my daughter was about 1.5 years old, I think, maybe 2. She was starting to get interested in watching movies, and I was just, we were watching a lot of the same movies as you do when you're an older parent, just constantly over and over again. And I just was like, oh, I cannot wait for her to get older so I could show her like great films. And then I was thinking, well, the only way you do that at this age to like introduce them into it would be to, do a kid's book version of that.
To turn them into little golden books, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so I just started doing that as a joke and just would do one panel, from The Big Lebowski or Silence of the Lambs or whatever. And I just put them on my blog. Remember blogs? I used to put, I had a blog.
Remember those?
And it took off on the blog. And so then I had actually Lee Unkrich asked me to do a Shining one for him. And so I did actually one a painted one by hand for that, or a non-digital one for him. And it just kind of took off. And then I decided, like, I'm just going to make a book out of it. And the first version of the book was actually one I made self-published, and it was, the kind of a board book where the little kids can chew on it and everything.
Yeah. So
I did a board book and sold it at Comic-Con one year. And then Chronicle Books picked it up. and they said, we want to do this, and can you add like 20 more images? And I'm like, oh God, fine. So
Yeah, if anyone watching has not seen those, go Google those. They're pretty great. I love the one from The Jerk is hilarious.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah,
That one's great.
the funny thing about those things is, I remember we were at Comic-Con, and this woman comes over and goes, do you have any from The Big Lebowski of the guy when he's peeing on the rug? And I was like, oh, I didn't do that scene. I'm so sorry. And she turns and goes, honey, he doesn't have it. And I look over, and it's the guy that was peeing on the rug in the movie, like the actor. And I was
Funny.
like, hey, dude. Yeah.
That's funny. In your time up at Pixar, who's been the most fun to work with, both behind the camera and then as actors are concerned?
Oh, actors.
Either way.
Yeah. Well, my God, I've been so lucky. I've worked with some amazing people. But I'll say that I became pretty close with Bill Hader on Inside Out, and early on that film, before he was even cast, he came up to the studio, and just because he wanted to visit it, and we got to meet him and everything, and then we asked him, like, hey, we're super early on Inside Out, this movie about emotions. Do you want to just kind of write a little bit? Because he had worked on South Park and stuff. And he was like, yeah, cool. That sounds great. So he was just hanging out for 2-3 weeks, just literally just us sitting in a room, just mainly him just making me laugh to the point where I was like, you need to stop because I can't breathe. It hurts. And so that was a lot of fun. And then he'd go, hey, you want to go to Alcatraz? I've never been. I'm like, yeah, let's go to Alcatraz. And
oh, geez.
That was working. So he's the best. He's really fun. But in terms of just directing actors, Tom Hanks is incredible. I mean, of course.
Sure.
But working with Key and Peele together, because I'd always record them together, that was really amazing. Because those two guys, they worked together for such a long time. They could practically read each other's minds. It was really, really incredible.
Yeah, I did a film with Tom's wife, with Rita. Was my first movie I ever did. And when we did our wrap party up in Georgia, she was actually sick. She didn't go.
Oh, no.
And it was the night after Tom had won his Oscar for Forrest Gump.
Wow.
But Tom flew to Georgia to say thank you for everyone to being so nice to his wife, and then went back to L.A.
He's the nicest man. He is the nicest man.
And then, of course, you got to work with one of my childhood idols, Miss Annie Potts.
She's the best. She is the absolute best. I was so glad that she was such a main character on her film, because I get to work with her a lot, and it was really great to kind of just work with her on how the character has grown over, the last time. For those who don't know, we were talking about Toy Story 4, but Annie playing Bo Peep, and last time we saw Bo Peep on screen was 1997, I think, with Toy Story 2.
Right, somewhere in there.
So it was just like, okay, how has this character progressed? What has she been through? Kind of all that backstory to get up to this point, and just not making her the exact same character. So it was she's so wonderful to work with.
Who have you worked with that you got starstruck? Or just people that want to come up and walk through Pixar?
Probably, at Pixar, people that I saw walking around that the most starstruck was Kermit the Frog.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember the actor who was doing. I can't remember who was doing it now, but they brought the Muppet Mobile Labs. Before it was in the park, they brought it to Pixar to kind of, I think they were just doing tests or something like that.
Okay.
And Dave Goelz was doing the voice off in another room. And they had it out in the atrium there. And then they also, one of the other performers brought out Kermit and started performing just randomly. And I was just like, I turned into a little kid that couldn't move. It was insane to me, just like watching Kermit the Frog. But for Toy Story 4 recording, we got to go to we got to record Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner together for their cameo in the film. And the way we did that, we asked them to do it, and they said, absolutely. But Carl said, yeah, but I'm not going to you. You come to me, because they're in LA. And so we went to his house and set up there in his living room, and recorded the two of them together. And it was so surreal and such a treat. And they were so wonderful and giving. And the two of them, have dinner every night together. And,
every night, yeah.
Every night, and it was great, because as we were leaving, Mel goes like, "Carl, what do you want to have for dinner tonight?" "I don't know. What do you want? Sausage? Sausage, yeah. Hey, we're gonna have sausages tonight." And somebody in the kitchen's like, "Okay." And then he's like, "All right, see you later, buddy. All right, see you." It's just amazing, just standing there in their living room and just hearing them just talk about sausage. It's great.
And it's hilarious. Just that alone would be funny.
Yeah.
What was your biggest challenge with Toy Story 4, just as a filmmaker? Obviously, anything when there's three, really good ones before. What's your biggest challenge when you go into that?
Well, I mean, it's that. It's that there is, I kind of boiled it down to one question, which is the question everybody had when they heard it was coming out, which is the question I had when I was asked to take it on, which is why? Why make another one? And so that was the big challenge. My goal was like, this can't just be another little adventure. It has to be a worthwhile film, that's a movie that is worthy of the title Toy Story 4. And so that became the challenge, and it needed to be Woody's story. Sorry about that. It needed to be Woody's
you're okay.
story, and it just needed to be. It couldn't just be another side adventure. So figuring out the story was the hardest part by far, and just finding that way to make it impactful.
And what kind of challenges come with new characters? I mean, that can't be an easy task.
Actually, I think that was the most fun, actually, because that gave the opportunity to do something new. And that was the challenge. Like, how can we do something new that doesn't feel like we've, been retreading anything? Right. And for me, the movie kind of started to unlock itself with the discovery of Forky being a character, and that all started from we were sitting in the story room one day, and sometimes the story artists will really start to pick apart the logic of things, and it will start to unravel. Even every film I've been on, it'll unravel the universe of the world that you're trying to build, where you're like, stop talking, no, we don't take that card out of this house of cards. And somebody said, well, what if Bonnie, plays with a rock? Was a rock alive? And I'm like, oh my God, now we're questioning what even the definition of a toy is. And so I said, well, hold on a second. Let's actually, what if? Yeah, let's try that. What would happen? And because we're always thinking of our own kids, and my kids will, when they were younger, they pick up anything like a bottle and pretend it's a truck, and it's like, okay, sure. it's a toy now. So we said, well, what if she made a toy? Like, what if we actually saw a toy come to life? That's never happened in a Toy Story film, and it just really did just kind of evolve to where it became somebody was like, well, a spork. And that was just funny to me. The spork is not, neither a fork nor a spoon. And so it's like, if you have this character that doesn't know, he's like, what am I? Like, just that already being a spork, he doesn't even know what he is. And so the idea of having a character that would come to life and not know anything about anything was so appealing to me, because as an audience member, we know everything. We know the entire world of Toy Story, and to have a character come up and just basically be a wild card, I was like, oh, okay, now we can have a lot of fun with this, and it can go to places that we didn't anticipate, because even our own characters didn't know that something can come to life. And we had a lot of jokes in there that were I kind of miss, where like Forky would say to Woody, like, look, I'm not a toy. I'm just going to go tell Bonnie that she needs to get rid of me. And he's like, well, you can't do that. You can't. like, why? What's the problem? I go talk to her right now. She's right there. What's the problem? So just completely breaking the rules and bending the rules was a lot of fun. And also just thinking of like, toys that we haven't done before, the types of toys. So my parents used to own a toy store. So I had a lot of experience with toys, and I still have a lot of toys. But I realized in Toy Story we'd never done like really antique toys that hadn't been taken care of. So that was exciting to do. Also, carnival toys. I just love the idea of having carnival toys because they have the worst existence out of all toys, which is they're basically bait. They're just bait for like hanging there in a plastic bag. And the kid's like, oh, I want that toy. And the toy's like, I want to be with that kid. But they try and play those games and they'll never win.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't work out.
It's horrible. So just the thought of having kind of these bitter carnival toys was kind of came out of that.
That's really funny. One of my wife's favorite parts in the movie, and that she wanted me to ask about, because I'm curious, I'm sure I probably know the answer, because if this was scripted, I'm going to be even more impressed with all the writing team. But when Woody and Forky are looking for Bo, and they're walking around and saying, Bo, Bo, and then Forky just goes, Bo, 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 Bo.
Yeah.
Kills us every time. Was that in the script, or did Tony make that up?
Are you talking about specifically the Bo, 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 Bo? Like that?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let me see. I'm trying to remember. It's what's making you laugh is the performance. So he definitely made that up. So, because I remember the idea that came from, I won't go into the far backstory, but the way we recorded it was, I said, I'm going to be Woody and you're Forky, right? So I'm going to say Bo, and then you just repeat after me every time. We just let the mics run. And so we had, he said Bo 5 trillion times, and we just found the right ones.
There you go. So this is a funny question. So out of the 3 of you guys got your Oscars. Congratulations for that. So out of the 3 of you, does one of you get to put your Oscar in the case in the lobby, or do they make a special one for the case in the lobby?
Yeah, at Pixar they have a trophy case, and in the studio I think also gets an Oscar as well, a physical Oscar. So we all have our individual ones. But here's a funny thing, which is it's such an honor, and I was really blown away that we won. But getting home with an Oscar, like, because you're in LA and I live up in the Bay Area, so we got on our planes and we had to take him out of our luggage for the for the
TSA.
There's no case for it. They just kind of hand it to you on stage and you're holding it, and then that's it. And so I had to take it out of my bag, and they said, no, leave all your stuff in the bag. And I'm like, I don't have room. I said, can I get one of those little dog bowls? You put your keys in and stuff.
Oh,
and
no.
And so I have a photo of my Oscar sitting in the dog bowl, going through the X-ray. And for me,
fantastic.
That was the moment of, all right, back to reality. We're making it work. And then also it's like, what do you do? What do you do with it? Like, I love having it, but what do you do with it? Right? It's
you put it with all the rest of your toys.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll never forget one of the first times. One of the times I was over with Michael Giacchino at his house, working on the backyard and all that. And it was the first time I had gone up into his office when it was in the house. And it just cracked me up because he had all of his shiny gold statues, but mixed in the middle was the Raiders' idol.
Oh, nice.
And I went, okay, now I see where he ranks, his priorities.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right.
Quick story.
On to the
wife's uncle. I'll just go real quick.
Go ahead.
My wife's uncle was dating a woman who had an Oscar on her toilet. This is like back in the 70s, and he's like, "What is that?" And it was best picture for Gone with the Wind, because her grandfather was the producer on it.
Oh my
So he
God!
stuck it on the toilet. All right, important question.
Like you said, where do you put them? What do you do with them? All right, let's talk about The Shining.
Yes.
Why is The Shining such a part of Pixar? When did that start? Is that all Lee's fault? Where did that come from?
It's definitely all Lee's fault. He's managed to work it into every film he's touched. I think. In fact, even the first Toy Story has the carpet in Sid's house is the same carpet from Shining.
And then I found that 237 makes an appearance in Toy Story 3. The Sunnyside daycare intercom is the intercom that Wendy uses,
Right.
and then Jack's axe and all of that in Coco. But I think you hit it right on the head the best because you used the music straight out of the movie.
Well, what was funny is Lee and I were talking about that because I really what was great. One of the great things about Pixar is that everybody's there, right? So
Right.
one of the having Toy Story 4 be my first time directing, I was like, great. Everybody that had a big hand in the original is still here. So I was really pulling them in as mentors and going like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And so Lee said, I want to take a pass at this scene. Like I was just looking at the that scene specifically, and I said, okay, the music I want is the type from the I was about to say from The Shining, and he's like, I got it, don't worry about it, I got it. And so he showed me that, and it was the music right straight from it, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Let's see if we can do it. I didn't know if we could, and then we were able to make it work, and it's one of my favorite things in the film. Also, we have a 237 in there. The address of the woman when she's getting attacked by Ducky and Bunny. The address of her house is 237.
The song killed me the first time I saw it. I was not expecting that. It just put me over.
So great.
I read earlier that this little guy,
Benson,
who again completely kills me, is kind of dressed like Lloyd the bartender.
Well, yes.
To an extent.
Right. Yeah.
But
I had dummies. I had a dummy as a kid when I was growing up, and I loved it so much. I was never good at it, but I just loved having it. And I would scare my younger brother with it. And I came home one day, and he had stabbed it in the eye with a pair of scissors. And to the point where it looked like a horror film. It was just lying there with scissors in his eyeball. And I was so angry at him, and I told him, I will never forget this. And then I did not tell him that there were dummies in Toy Story 4. And then he saw it, and I was like, that's what you get for killing Willie Talk, which is the name of my dummy.
I was going to say, and if you tell me your brother's name is Benson, I'm really going to be...
No. Benson was the name of our story artist, Story Soup at the time, Eric Benson. So we named it after him.
Nice. What's your favorite theme park attraction? Let's talk about Disney for a minute. What's your favorite ride?
Oh man, what a question. I think Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion by far. It's the thing I love about it is the storytelling of that ride. The whole the mystery going into it. You're not seeing anything until you're only seeing what could be something spooky until Madame Leota actually calls upon the ghosts. And then
that's a good point.
The reveal of that dining room is like the first time that you're actually seeing something, and that scene always just hits me in the face every time. And then it gets crazier and crazier. So there really is like the storytelling of that is just so beautiful. It's just this really ramp up, and then it's now they're coming after you, and then get out of here, and it just kind of goes back down. It just feels so great.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that one. What's your oh man. Ultimately, it always comes back to a Pirates and Manson. Those original, those heavy hitters that those are. I mean, it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm all in Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh, so we don't have that in California anymore.
True, true. But yeah, no. When it comes to Pirates and Mansion, and I might maybe side with Pirates a little more just because of just I think it's the definition of immersive.
I get it. I'm not mad at you. I understand. That's my number two.
I will say I have spent my nights in the Haunted Mansion with just me by myself, and it is quite an experience.
What are you talking about?
I was part of the crew that put in the Hatbox Ghost
Oh,
when we
okay.
when we
Great.
did that.
Yeah.
So I had 3 crews going at the time because that was when it was the 60th anniversary. So we had Haunted Mansion, Matterhorn, and Grizzly Peak that we were redoing. So my crews during the day were doing Matterhorn and Grizzly Peak, and then I didn't have crews, so I installed Haunted Mansion on my own with my tool belt, and I just went for it.
Oh, that's cool.
So the crews would wrap up about 6, 7 o'clock. I'd go back to the room. I'd take a nap. I'd wake up about midnight, and I'd head to the mansion. And usually the art directors and the guys would be there, the figure programmers, and they're doing their thing. And then eventually they'd go, "Have a nice night." And they just leave me in there to decorate it and to dress it and to put the lanterns and the hat boxes and get the dead trees coming in and all that. And for whatever reason, the graveyard does not shut down.
Wow, really?
The graveyard will sit there and go all night, right? And I'm up there and I'm on a ladder and I'm working on this tree branch to get it to come under the awning and everything else. And I got zip ties in my mouth and I'm a mess. And I get off the ladder and I step back and I go, "Oh, that looks pretty good." And I turn around and there's this old custodial maintenance guy standing right behind me. Came out and I never heard him. I about had a heart attack. And for the rest of that time, I just expected somebody to go, "Oh no, Bob died in 1974.
Right. Yeah. We've never had a janitor here at the Haunted Mansion. What?
Right? You've always been the set decorator here at the Haunted Mansion. Yeah, that's what was going through my mind.
Have you ever seen the original Pepper's Ghost model at the Magic Castle?
I have. It's been a while, but I have seen it. I've only been there a couple times, but yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah, I love that they have a really cool display for it. It's really, I'm just like a kid that goes, "Hey, cool, press the button over and over again."
Yeah. Watch what happens.
Yeah.
So being up in San Francisco, what's your favorite tiki bar?
Well, the closest one to me is Trader Vic's in Emeryville. And so I've been there a lot. Yeah, and it's the staff there is phenomenal. It's really close to Pixar, which is dangerous.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, so that's a great one. I had my birthday parties there a couple times. It's right on the water, which is beautiful. So can't go wrong.
Have you gone over to Last Rites yet?
Yes, love it. That's great.
That one's a lot of fun.
My friend Susan, I think, is one of the head bartenders there. I can't remember exactly.
She'll be on the show on the 9th.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'll tune in.
Yep, she'll be on the 9th. I love Susan. Susan's great. I was in town and I would follow their progress on Instagram. And I was like, I thought, okay, I'll just message them. And I send them a note and I go, "Hey, I'm in town. Can I just come in before you guys open and see the place without a crowd of people? I just want to really see it." And she messaged back, "Yeah, come on in." And, we'd never met. And we hung out for about an hour or so while she was prepping the bar. And it was great. So, yeah, Susan's awesome.
She's the best. And if you ever get a chance to have her make you a drink, oh, my God, they're so good. They're incredible.
Yeah, she's on the 9th. So what is that? Today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's on Wednesday.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
So what are you working on now? You staying busy working from home or are you...
I'm working from home. Got a couple different projects going on. I can't talk about.
Yeah, of course.
But all good stuff. I'm really excited. There's a lot of new stuff coming up, so it's exciting.
Are you guys still under your 24-hour curfew up there, or did that break out yet?
No. Well, I mean, we're supposed to stay at home, and come on, if I could do that every day, I would anyway. So
yeah, it's not that bad, but
no, it's not. It could be much worse. So
yeah.
But after going through after being in production on a film for a while, like all I want to do is come home and just be with my family. And so this is what I'm getting to do that.
And we're both fortunate enough to have companies that are letting us work from home right now. So it's, like you said, it could be worse.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, those are all the questions I had, unless anybody else has some down on the feed there. But that was my lineup. Checking if I missed any.
Like technical difficulties, a stupid thing. This show forced me to get Instagram. I've never had an Instagram account.
I told people that. I said we got to be, we got to give you some slack because you started your account just to come on the show. So
I did.
And now you'll have tons of followers, and it'll be chaos like your Twitter page.
And now I need that pressure. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just delete it after this. It's fine. Just get rid of it.
No, I want to watch Susan. So I'll
after Wednesday, then delete it. All right. Well, I'll let you go. I appreciate you coming on. Great to talk to you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Did you get did your mug show up?
I've got, you can't see it. I've got, this beauty, but, yes. I'm going to take this opportunity to plug your book if anybody doesn't have it. And I should get 50% whatever comes in after that.
Everything.
Yeah.
Which is about 50 cents, I think. Someone asked what your personal favorite part of Toy Story 4 is.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy. Personal favorite part. That's a tough one. It's just, and this is a stupid answer, and I apologize, but it's, working on the film I was on it for 5 years, and so it's like slaving on it and really pounding on it and just, spending more time with Woody and Buzz and my own family in a way, just thinking about it constantly. So it's hard just to choose one. If I do get it, I remember sitting in the theater though, getting excited for people to see the beginning of the film because I love the split up between them. I love seeing Forky come to life, but the antique store with Gabby was always a great way to you could feel the tension. People just like doing, oh, I didn't expect this. So that was always fun. And then Ducky and Bunny attacking the lady was just so much fun to animate. There was one scene, or that was one animator, Victor Navone animated that shot of them jumping on her face. And he did one version that lasted forever. Like they kept attacking her and attacking her. She kept trying to run away. They were grabbing things off the shelves and like chucking it at her, and it was way too far away, but it was so much fun to watch. How's that
Chase,
for a non-answer? Sorry.
There you go. Chase wants to know, what kind of stuff do you collect? You said you've got a lot of toys. You got a lot of cool stuff in the background there.
Yeah, I have a lot of I do. Let's see. I perform magic, and so I have a lot of decks of cards. I used to perform down at Fisherman's Wharf when I was in school, just on the side, just close-up magic, and so I have a lot of that kind of stuff. Toys. Way too many books. Way too many art books. A lot of tiki. I have a tiki bar, but it's all packed away right now. We just moved into this new house, and so if I have a lot of tiki stuff too, which I really want to get out.
There you go. All right, man. Well, stay safe out there.
You too. Everyone else as well. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yep, you too. And let me know when I sent you one of the Doom altars. So that should be arriving shortly.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, you got it. All right. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Josh.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Probably the easiest of the technical difficulties we've had in the last couple episodes. But I think we're getting them under control. I think we're good. I think we got the technical thing under control. All right. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock every night till we're done with this. I don't know. maybe that long if I can keep getting people. But tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Dr. Skipper, David Marley, we're going to talk Jungle Cruise, the history of Jungle Cruise, all things Jungle Cruise. And we're just going to keep on rolling every night after that. Hopefully everybody took some screenshots during this episode. As always, I forget to say it at the beginning of the episode. And go add Josh on Instagram. It's Josh Cooley is his Instagram name. Go at him. Welcome him to Instagram. He's a great guy, as you guys just saw. But that concludes tonight's transmission. We will be back tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Don't miss it. All right? Everybody stay smart and stay safe. We'll see you then. Bye.